I have truly never been happier to be in a 2-star motel. I'm sure the bed's uncomfortable. I'm sure the walls are paper thin. But mainly, I'm just super happy to have 4 rigid walls around me, because the wind out there is getting even worse as the night goes on. So, man, if I had been in my car, or if I had somehow found a way to pitch that tent, whew, good luck getting a wink of sleep in this wind. I will need to figure out a plan for tomorrow, because I'm not going to go back out to shoot swallows, I don't think. Unless, I don't know, the mood strikes me suddenly in the morning. But I don't know what's going to happen. That's tomorrow Nick's problem. Right now, I'm perfectly content reading my Kindle, listening to the soft drone of a ridiculously loud air conditioner, while eating plantain chips. This book I'm reading is called 11/22/63, a novel. You know, like the date, November 22nd, 63. It's by Stephen King. Yeah, it's a real page turner. I think this Mr. King may have a real future in writing. Well, it looks like I'm the last man standing. I did sleep better last night. Not as good as at home, but much better than rocking and rolling in the back of my truck all night. So I'll take it. I was gonna do kind of a traditional shot of this phone booth and motel sign, on Portra or something, but I think this will be really cool on 51HC because the print on that film is so damn sharp. Something like this that has text and edges is really going to highlight how crisp the print is. I have to say, I'm really digging how empty it is here right now. This camera's obviously mostly tilted back, but I have a little bit of rise put in. Okay, now how am I going to shade the lens? Let's see here. Okay, I think I'll be able to do it. A third. Sky's definitely going to blow out. Perfect. So that's f/25 at 1/30th of a second. Don't screw anything up. Okay. Shutter's closed. I forgot the Polaroid holder. Of course. Always gotta forget something. This side towards lens. 51HC. Okay. Please don't get my hat in the shot. God, that would ruin me. Come on, pull the trigger, Nick. Okay. Before I break down the shot, let's go develop it. And that's 30. Ah, shit. overexposed. Dig the composition though. All right, let's try it again. Let's do F22 and 2/3 at 1/60th. So we've got to stop and a third out of it. Come on, baby. That's more like it. Not quite perfect yet, though. Good news is my hat isn't in the shot. Bad news is it's still a little overexposed, which is weird because it's responding to metering way differently than the previous 2 times I've used it. It's coming out much brighter, so I don't know if it's the temperature or the fact if it's in really harsh light. It just needs a different ISO rating. I don't know, but I gotta decide if I wanna invest a 3rd frame into this. Oh, I must be crazy for doing a 3rd exposure on this. Yeah, there's definitely something out of my control here. Maybe the 1 or 2 of the shutter speeds on my lens is out of calibration. Because I only went 1 stop darker on this, and it's much further than 1 stop darker, I think. But I do think that's probably the best exposure so far. So I'm glad I did the 3rd one. Like I said before, one thing must go wrong with every shot of 51HC, at least when I'm shooting it. This time it was the exposure. I just couldn't get it perfect. This final sheet is close to perfect, but it's a hair darker than I wanted. Barely. Like a half a stop. Maybe even a 3rd. I wish I had an exposure somewhere between this one and the last one, just to see what it looks like. But I'm being too picky. This is a long expired sheet of a film that I have very little experience with, and that's inherently difficult to use given its insanely narrow latitude. Considering all that, I suppose I shouldn't get too down about an exposure that's a half stop off. By the way, I eventually figured out why the metering on this film was so confounding to me, and I did an in-depth technical breakdown of this on the 4-hour extended play, for anyone who loves hot metering talk. So, obsessive nitpicking aside, I do in fact really love this shot. The subject, the composition, the grittiness, the look that only true peel-apart film can create. And what the hell, even the exposure, it all adds up to a damn good representation of what I'm trying to convey with my work. It looked like day 3 was starting off on the right track. Thank God for that. I kept the momentum going with a glass of carbonated fuel and a charming little abandoned bowling alley in Aaawww that I shot on 6x17 Portra. That frame came out great, but I was flowing so well that I decided to expose some additional 6x9 on it too. At last, my time in Aaawww was up. I needed to get to Gila Bend for a change of scenery and to find camp for the night. I didn't have a set-in-stone plan yet for my final night, but I knew I wanted to shoot something at dusk, and I had a possible campsite marked on my GPS that I needed to find before sundown. The day was already getting away from me, and I wasn't about to stumble 2 feet from the finish line. Okay, so when I planned this route to the campsite, I was following a dirt road on satellite view that led ultimately to kind of a nice clearing that I thought would be a perfect place to camp. And I could see on the satellite view that the dirt road off the highway, if I kept following it, eventually it would hit some railroad tracks But then I saw that it picked up on the other side, so that told me there must be a tunnel. And you could see tire tracks and everything in the satellite view, so I wasn't really worried about it. But I just got to the tunnel, and I think we may have a problem. I think the old 4Runner's got a few too many LBs to fit under this. We're gonna have to figure out another plan. I kind of feel like I put all my eggs in one basket tonight. And then Union Pacific came along and took a massive dump all over it. I really would like to camp tonight though. Which sounds so stupid to say after how I felt the first night. Kind of felt like I never wanted to camp ever again in my entire life. But what did I say at the very start of this whole thing? I would take almost anything over high wind. And the wind has finally died down. And that makes camping way more enjoyable. All right, it's settled then. I'll continue looking for a campsite until 6 o'clock, maybe 6:15. And then I'm gonna head back to town, make sure I'm in position for the dusk photo I wanna take. And if I don't find a campsite, I really hope there's a motel with vacancies. Plan is to photograph this water and ice machine behind me. And that truck that's leaving right now was there for seriously 20 minutes, just getting bag after bag after bag after bag. I'm surprised that car behind them didn't just bail. They've been waiting there forever too. But hopefully no one else is coming by to get a metric tons worth of ice. Using my 90mm for the first time on this trip. Can't forget to use the center ND. And because it's going to be a dust shot with the center ND, I think I'm going to put some tilt on the lens to help with focus. So I don't want to close the aperture down too small. There we go. Finally got the place to myself. It's great fluorescent lighting underneath the overhangs there. So I think it's going to look really good at dusk. It's already looking pretty rad. So I think this would look pretty awesome with really dark ambient light and just the fluorescence from the overhang lighting up. This one's pulling up right now. Let's hope they don't stay. Let's put the center ND on before I forget. And because I'm using ISO 400 film, but the filter holds back 1.3 stops, I've lowered the ISO on my meter to 160. That will compensate for the filter. All right, I need to start metering. I'm gonna run out of time. Okay, I think right now is probably going to be the perfect light. So let's see. Do F22 at 8 seconds. I think 8 becomes 15. Let me double check. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think that was probably the winner. Yup, that's what I wanted. Because this building has relatively weak lights, just a couple of old fluorescents and a dinky floodlight, I was able to shoot this later than on most buildings. Now, this can seem counterintuitive, but the brighter the lights are on a building, the earlier you have to shoot it, because if you wait too long, the dimmer ambient light can't compete with the super powerful artificial lights. Either the building's lights will look too bright, or the ambient will look too dark. I like when I'm able to take advantage of weaker lights like this, because it pushes the photo into a later time frame, and thus a later in the evening feel, which carries a different kind of mystique with it compared to earlier dusk. My absolute favorite part of this photo, though, is the pile of ice at the end of the shoot, with its long trail of meltwater streaking into the parking lot. A tiny little detail like that is all it takes to say, someone was here. I knew when I clicked the shutter I would love this image. And it was a hell of a nice way to close out these 3 nights in Arizona. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out today's sponsor, me! I have a 4-hour extended play version of this on-location trip to Arizona over on my website. It's got more adventure, more photos, in-depth technical notes, a full scan-to-print tutorial, and more. It ain't super pricey, and there's a trailer over there too. Let's check that out. Either way, thanks for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
Come here, bud. Come on. Come on. How you doing, buddy boy? Come here. Okay. Oh, good to see you, bud. Good boy. Good boy. Got a lot of unpacking to do, bud. Come on.